Welcome to the new sound of online radio. Welcome to the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network. 'Cause you make me feel like I've been locked out of heaven. A mix of today's hits and hard-to-find favorites, combined with the most entertaining and intriguing talk anywhere. This is your sound. This is the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network at UPNradio.com.
Welcome. We are Del and Debbie's Mind, Body, Soul, the home of invigorating talk on all things to do with health and well-being. And I'm Del A.D. Jones, and I am one of your co-hosts. And I'm a certified transformational coach and a three principles teacher and practitioner. And I help my clients achieve psychological well-being in all areas of their life, regardless of their external circumstances. And before I hand you over to my beautiful co-host, Debbie here, I'm going to remind everybody that this is a call-in show. And our call-in number is 323-284-7826, and we are also on our Facebook page. If you have any questions or comments or would love to join the conversation, please just give us a call or post a question or comment on our Facebook page. And here next to me is my beautiful co-host.
So, Del, you're too kind. Thank you so much. Hi, everybody, and welcome to our show. I'm your co-host, Debbie Carlin Boyle, and I am an integrative nutrition health coach, a personal trainer, and a fitness instructor. And I try to help people find balance in their life with everything that feeds us, in addition to the food on our plate. And we have a really amazing show for you today because we have an amazing woman. So today's guest, Maria Baltazzi, is an international traveler, a happiness mentor, and an Emmy Award-winning producer. After years in the entertainment industry, shooting in locations around the world, Maria began studying happiness as a way to deal with the stressful demands of producing. Oh, I know that feeling. Today, she works with professionals, especially those in entertainment, to level up the quality of their lives. She speaks about happiness. She leads workshops, transformational travel trips, and retreats. Maria also teaches mindfulness, primordial sound meditation, and prayer of the heart, as well as restorative yoga. Maria still develops and produces media projects, but much more sanely now. And Maria is the founder of the Sojourn Experience, creating fundraising transformational journeys that offer one an adventure of a lifetime. She also curates a bi-weekly inspirational newsletter called 8 Good Things. This woman is one hard-working woman, and we would like to hear how this all came about. Will you please welcome to our show, Maria Baltazzi.
Hey. Thank you. It's a real pleasure and honor to be here.
Wow. Yeah. We are honored.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us today. Yeah. We have so much to talk about because, just as the introduction said, you have a lot of things going on, and you have some things, one thing that led to the other. But we want to hear from the very beginning, where you were born, what got you started in
that beginning.
The industry. Yeah, we go back. We get really deep.
Just, very briefly,
you can hear
because we have so much here to cover. So
we're just going to make sure Maria's headsets are working so she can hear us.
Oh, yep, that's good. Wonderful. Can you hear us now?
No, because she's unplugged.
Still. Okay. All right. Well, in the meantime, we'll just chat away.
Oh, she can hear us. There we go. All right.
Thank you. Great.
Yeah. So let's see. Where were you born?
Okay. Well, I was born in Chicago, and I am the only American born in my family. So I'm a child of immigrants, and they came over from Greece.
Oh, Greece.
A Greek name.
Yeah. Well, it's Italian. It's actually an Italian name.
Yeah,
it goes back. Yeah, it goes back to the 11th century Venice, and the family moved to other places, and now we're most immediately in Greece, and I have some family in France as well.
See, that's where you get your world-traveling genes from.
Yeah, well, there's
Way
a lot
back.
of travel. There's most assuredly a lot of travel in my family history.
Yeah.
So, yes, I was born in Chicago, and I lived there until I was about 10, and then I went to Cleveland, and I spent my junior high and high school years, and then I headed out to California, and I've been here ever since.
Wow.
What
Yeah.
brought you out to California? What?
My sister was studying photography at Brooks Institute, and I went out to
Santa
go.
Barbara.
Yes, and I went out to go visit her, and my father made the mistake of saying, you know, if you find something that you can study and you can live with your sister, you can stay in California. Well, guess what?
You got here.
Much to my mother's dismay. Yeah, that's how I got.
Now,
to
were there just
California.
2 of you in your family?
There's 3.
3.
I'm,
Okay.
I'm the youngest of the 3, so I have had a sister. She passed away a few years ago from cancer, and then I have a thank you, and then I have a brother, and then myself. But
okay.
we all travel.
Now, did
Yeah.
you travel
bug.
before you came out here? Was that part of your family?
Yes, it was more domestic. We did some international travel, but it was more going on these. Anytime my family would say, "Let's go for a drive." A drive could be
3 days.
4 hours later,
Oh.
going around Lake Michigan and surfacing 4 days later.
So you
so
came
it
from
was
a family of explorers.
Yeah.
They like to
Yeah.
check things out
Yeah.
and see
Yeah.
what where things originated
Yeah.
and stuff. So
Yeah.
that was probably ingrained in you.
yeah.
So,
And
what did you find here when you came? You said your father
Yeah.
said if you find something that interested you, you could do. What was that brought you here? Then?
Well, I was being very practical at the time, and I thought, well, no matter what I did in life, having a business background would help me.
Yeah, exactly.
So I looked for a business degree, and that's what I
That's
did.
never wasted, I have
No,
to say.
No.
it applies
Yeah.
to everything we
Yeah.
do.
Well,
It's
especially-
always a smart
Yeah.
thing, even
Especially
if
if
you
you're in
stay-at-home
the-
mom.
Exactly, and if you're into the arts and into things like you're clearly into, having that business background, I mean, converting your passion into a business is really helpful because otherwise you just
Yeah.
have to put that on the side and then do a job that you might not even really be that much passionate about.
Right.
Well, what I appreciate is that both sides of my brain fire.
Which is the creative and the
Right.
practical.
Right.
Yeah, really,
Right.
it's which probably brought you to where you are today with everything you're doing.
Yeah.
So after you got the business degree, how did you parlay that into the film industry?
Well, right out of school, I started working for a local television station. First it was in San Diego and then up in San Francisco. And I was actually the business person in a creative department. I was in the promotional department. And that's where all of the campaigns to promote the station, the news team, and I would handle all of the marketing. I would do all of the media, buying the billboards, the radio, the
That's a
television.
great
all,
background.
Yeah,
That's
it,
really
it was
good.
really a lot of fun, especially in San Francisco, because I was spending so much money in the market. Everybody wanted to wine and dine me, so I had tickets to everything.
Wow.
I could eat anywhere, and it was a really great time in life.
Yeah.
However, you do something often enough, and it just becomes more of the same. And that's what I have found throughout my life is I'll get into a really great groove, and I'm happy, and it's a lot of fun. But it's
You're
rinse
not
and
growing.
repeat.
Repetitive, yeah. And
right.
you got to
And-
keep the spiral
right,
moving up the
exactly.
ladder. Yeah.
Right. So I feel like every about 5 to 7 years I kind of rip my life apart, and but you keep evolving at
Exactly.
a higher level.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing because I keep
Because you take
growing.
all that experience
Right.
with
Yeah.
you
Right.
and add to it. That's
Yeah.
all.
Exactly.
And you add your
And you're also
people.
stimulating
Yeah.
yourself. I mean, anything that's repetitive can get boring after a
Right.
while. Even if it's great,
Yeah.
it's still.
Yeah. Well, I remember when I was 11 years old, sitting in my then best friend's garage, and just looking outside the garage, beyond the parked cars, and just, we were in a wooded area, and just thinking, I just don't want regular.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
not okay.
Yeah. And you were very young.
Yeah.
Pre-puberty.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Amazing.
mature of
Yeah.
you at that stage.
Yeah.
But that's cool because look what
Yeah.
you did.
Yeah.
Well,
You're anything but regular.
I mean, so many people are just afraid of change.
Yeah.
It's so, I mean,
Yeah.
change is one of the hardest things people can
'Cause
accept.
it's so scary.
Because it is, but it seems
The
like you
unknown.
inherently had that passion for change at a very early age.
I think change is good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I run
Well,
and embrace it.
Well, I was going to
think
say
it-
you're embracing the unknown, whereas people get very fearful of the unknown.
Yeah.
We've had lots of shows about being stuck in that fear. But you were completely opposite of that.
I used to have a bit of that actually. I had wanderlust when I was, and as soon as I got comfortable somewhere, there was
Yeah.
something inside me that went, okay, try something new, like move to a new city
Yeah.
all on your own.
Yeah.
I mean, I moved here when I was 21 on my own, and prior to that, I'd lived in all different places in England and
Yeah.
in Spain, and I had that sort of wanderlust too. So
Well, I like to hopefully inspire other people to go out and go beyond their boundaries as
Yeah.
Right.
well. I mean, I wasn't born in a super privileged family. I mean, we were comfortable. My dad was a scientist and he had a good job, and we lived a nice upper middle class family life, but. I didn't have any real connections. I didn't.
You had desire.
I had desire.
Yeah.
But I
And you
could, it
manifested
could,
them.
right, but I could have very easily have just stayed in Cleveland, Ohio, married
so
the
many do.
don't from
Yeah.
high school,
Yeah.
had kids, stayed there, and that was it. And I don't look down on that life. One of my dearest friends in the world, that's exactly what she did. She stayed in our hometown, married the high school football quarterback, two beautiful kids, a beautiful home, and she has a wonderful life for her.
That's
Yes,
exactly
exactly.
it.
For her.
It's
Yeah.
an individual thing. Like
Yeah.
you said, when you were 11, you knew.
Yeah.
This isn't enough. I want, you already
Yeah.
had set that mindset and that path
Yeah.
on going.
So it's
People
listening to
have
that
different-
voice.
Yeah.
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 So
yeah.
how did you transition from the sort of business department, the marketing and everything, into actually producing some incredible shows, which we'll get to? But how did you make that transition?
Well, I worked a lot of hours, usually 6 days a week. And even though I had access to a lot of great things in San Francisco, as I was saying, it became repetitive after a while. And when you're spending 6 days a week walking from a lively city into 4 white walls, that gets to you after a while.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I just remember one Saturday sitting in the office. It was just me looking at these 4 blank walls saying,
Saturday.
this is not okay. I mean, there has to be more to life. I mean,
And how old were you when this thought struck you?
I'm going to say 24.
Oh, so you hadn't
So
been
you're
doing
still
it that
very
long?
young.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I left San Francisco. San Francisco had been really fun, but it just was time for a new adventure. And just sitting in that office and looking at 4 white walls saying, this is not living life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where did you go?
Los Angeles.
You came to LA. And did you purposely try to find work within the industry
Yeah.
since you were already
Yeah,
sort
yeah.
of already?
Well,
in
here
there?
was the thing is I wanted to travel, but I couldn't afford it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to have somebody else pay for my travel Jones. So from early on getting into production, I always looked for shows that traveled, that were on location.
Right.
And
That
what were
makes
some of
sense.
those shows?
I've done such a wide variety of stuff. I've done like magazine, television, where you just do segments. I've done, doc series. I've done competition shows. So it's been
Ran the whole
yeah.
circuit.
Where
yeah.
did where are some of the places these shows took you?
Oh gosh.
International or
Oh
mostly
yes,
domestic?
yeah.
Oh, cool.
I have been on all 7 continents twice, and the first time was doing production. The second time was doing marathons, and I have spent more time in Africa than I have any place in the world.
Wow.
Africa is my heart.
I was
I
just gonna
love it.
say.
I
And
heard
what-
from
and
a
what-
lot of people that
what-
have been there a few
Yeah,
times.
and what part in particular? Because it's such a wide, vast continent. So, what part is your favorite?
I really love Botswana.
And why?
I feel I like the remoteness of it, and I like that you have both the delta as well as the desert. I like
We're going to get back to that in a second, but we have a caller already.
Oh.
Hi, caller. Are you there?
Hello.
Yes, hi.
Hi. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Calling from Silver Lake.
Okay.
Angela
And what's your name?
Versace.
I heard Versace, I think. What was before Versace?
I'm sorry, what?
I'm sorry. Could you say your name again? We missed that.
Yes, my name is Sylvia.
Ah, Sylvia. Okay, thanks for calling in, Sylvia. Did you have a question or a comment for Maria?
Actually, of Maria's, and I wanted to just call in and say how grateful I am and say what she's done for me.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
Great.
let's
Share
hear.
that.
What
share
did she do?
that
Yes,
with us.
do share.
So I'm watching the live show, and she mentioned to me that I could call in starting at 1:20, and I'm totally no rush. So whatever works.
No, that's great.
No,
Just
good.
we'd love to hear some stories about Maria, other than from Maria herself. So, what was your experience that you had with Maria?
Well, I was looking to actually learn how to meditate. And am I on, by the way?
Yes,
You are.
yes,
You're on the air
You're
live
sharing.
right
Oh,
now.
hi.
Yeah.
Sorry, because I had muted mine. Hi.
Okay, maybe that's how come you were breaking up
Yes.
for a little bit, but we can hear you.
Yes.
Yes. So you were
I'm gonna-
looking to meditate. You said, learn how to meditate.
Yeah, I was looking. I tried meditating. I'd gone on, done some Deepak Chopra stuff online, and I found David G through him, and I wanted to go to Chopra's place in Carlsbad, but didn't have the time or the money. So I thought I would try to find somebody who had studied with him and that could teach me. And I found Maria, and she taught me primordial sound meditation, and it really took me into an entire different realm of understanding who I am and what my purpose is, and a deep place of fulfillment and a practice that I try to practice the best I can.
Oh my
Wow.
goodness! What a
That's
great
where I started.
testimony.
For
Yeah.
our audience,
Yeah.
Maria, will you tell them what primordial meditation is?
It's a transcendental meditation, which means that it is meant to transcend your ego, your limiting thoughts. So if you were to imagine an hourglass, the bottom part being the physical realm, and then the top part of that hourglass being the higher levels of consciousness, that skinny part of the hourglass, that's your limiting thoughts. That's your ego. That's your intellect, and that's what
Constricting.
Right, and that's what the primordial sound meditation is meant to do. It is meant to push through that so you get to higher levels of consciousness. So as Einstein says, you cannot fix a problem at the level in which it was created. So you want to transcend. And it comes from the same Vedic tradition as TM, Transcendental Meditation. Transcendental Meditation came over with the Maharishi in the 70s, and Deepak Chopra, who actually studied with the Maharishi, brought primordial sound meditation around in the 90s. He went also back to India, back to the same Vedic scholars, and
Now, do you use? When you say
there's a
primordial-
mantra.
I was just going to say.
Right. So like TM has a mantra,
Yes.
and so does primordial sound meditation. And the mantras are chosen differently. I'm not 100% clear. It's always been a little bit fuzzy to me how the TM mantras are chosen. I think it's based on your decade, your
Yeah,
age.
because each person has a different.
Right,
Yes.
and also I think it's connected to
that's
the
interesting.
teacher. The person that's teaching you when they became a teacher. I've heard different
Now,
versions.
Don't they write it for you? They give it to you and they say not to share it with anybody. It's just for you.
Right.
Yes.
And that's the same thing with primordial sound meditation.
Okay.
So primordial sound meditation, it's also a mantra that's unique to you, and it's based on the time and the place that you were born and the sound that the universe was making at the time you were born. And the Vedic scholars, 5,000 years ago, understood that the universe makes a sound, and they go according to the moon. So the sound changes every 4 hours according to the moon. So that's why it's really important to know. The more specific you can be with your birth information, the more specific the mantra, will be to you.
Exactly.
Yes. So you're taught it. There's really 108 different sound possibilities. However, once you learn it, you always internalize it, and you keep it for you, and then it becomes
your mantra.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And that becomes.
Yeah.
And Sylvia,
Fascinating,
this
yes.
has become very beneficial for you.
I don't know if we still have Sylvia. Oh, Sylvia?
Sylvia?
Yes. Yes, I'm here. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Yeah, the mantra actually, surprisingly, it makes me kind of melt inside.
Ooh,
it's kind
lovely.
of crazy.
Yeah.
It's just the sound does resonate with me tremendously, and it calms me. And I'm a very joyful person naturally, but I'm always I'm a seeker, and I'm always wanting to evolve. And I just love this practice.
Now,
I really do. And then because Maria was so generous with her, teaching me, I also subscribe to her newsletter, which I don't know if she's talked about.
No, we
yet,
haven't got there yet, but we
but
are.
we're going to get there.
We're going to get there.
Any like no spoilers, but she's just so giving in that. From what she's learned, from what I understand, our conversations have been over the time that I've been studying with her, what she learned about herself and how to, find joy and happiness and stop the craziness of the whole entertainment industry and move into this more, I guess, kind of full person, holistic, kind of going to the source type thing. And it really works for me. And so there are other parts too that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was
just
going to
said
say, I
that's-
can see that. And you're in the entertainment industry, aren't you, Sylvia?
Yeah, and I think I know you, Debbie. From
that's what
commercials,
that's
a million years ago.
Well, yeah, because I was in commercials for the better part of 30 years, so we must have overlapped.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I'm sure we overlap. We'll figure that out off air.
Yeah,
exactly.
But
But
I
thank you
could have
so
used
much.
Maria back then, and I'm so
Yeah.
glad that you found her now. You're still in
me
the
too.
throes of it, and it's very stressful, and
Yeah.
it's great that you
And
found
I
Maria.
take even more advantage of her. I actually wanted to do restorative yoga, and she actually comes and does one-on-one classes.
Now, is that yin
And
yoga
the
you
best
do?
time for
A different? Or,
I do both yin and restorative. They're actually two different practices, but they support each other.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do yin, but we call it a restorative yoga, but it's just the yin. But that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Sylvia, for calling in and for sharing your experience with Maria with us. That sounds. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, and we're very much appreciate
my
you
pleasure.
calling in.
Your show was fantastic. I'm glad that she introduced me to it. Have a fabulous day.
Wonderful.
Oh, thank you,
too.
Sylvia.
Thank you so
take
much.
care.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Very cool.
So that might be a perfect segue into, because you mentioned your bi-weekly newsletter, and which is based on happiness. And
8 good things.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
8 good things. So how did that come about?
It started as a holiday catch-up letter.
Oh,
I just a couple of years ago, I sent out a letter, this is what happened in my year, and I shared my, how I became a godmother, my godson, and where I traveled to, and shared some of the things that I was doing in the happiness realm. It was just a general catch-up.
Yeah.
And people were so receptive to it. Wow. I got all these emails saying, "Oh my gosh, that's so terrific!" And I thought, "All right, well, that was Christmas.
Yeah.
I'll do something similar at
For
the
Easter.
New Year." No, at the New Year.
Yeah.
And so I did this a similar format, and I shared books that I thought that people would find interesting, and YouTube videos to look at,
This is such
and
a great
articles,
idea.
and
I
so
love it.
Just guiding people to things
Yeah,
that will keep
yeah.
them happy.
well, and the newsletter is, as you know, it's 8 Good Things, and it is curated videos and articles and quotes and books that I think people would enjoy being exposed to. And it's meant to be super fast to read. And
Yeah.
if you're more interested, you can click the link to go to the actual article.
Right.
And then I have it divided according to the my company. So I have Sojourn Explorers, and within have the Sojourn Experience, and within that I have 3 verticals. Sojourn Explorers is about transformational travel. So that portion of 8 Good Things is about transformational travel and exploration and going into space and really cool things like that. You know, the curiosity.
Yes.
Right.
And then the next part is Picture Happiness, which is all about my happiness stuff. So I share articles and books about being happier in relationships. How do you sleep better? How happiness at work. So I then have a third portion of it, which relates to the entertainment industry.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Very
Wow. And it's you do it twice monthly?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
bi-monthly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Did I say
and-
bi-weekly?
Bi-
No,
bi-
bi-monthly, I
bi-
meant.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a lot.
Yes.
A lot of content to
Yeah.
keep up on.
Yeah, it's
So
it's
what we were
a
talking
lot
about
of-
earlier.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a lot of fun to do, and I get so much satisfaction because so many people have emailed me. You know, they'll respond saying, "Oh my gosh, this was a perfect article right now. Thank you," and it just gives me so much joy
Yes.
to actually be providing something useful.
Exactly.
To,
It's like
to
we were
people.
talking earlier in the green room. It's about sharing. It's like it's just things that touched you and helped you expand and enjoy your life and experience more happiness. You just want to share with people
It's
naturally.
the reason why we do this show, really.
Yeah,
To,
exactly.
to bring people on
Yeah.
like you. I noticed also on one of your websites, you had a little video about what happens to the brain when we're happy and how it's triggered and how it creates. I mean, it's part of how I help people seek balance in their life is to find the joy, because it's proven to create longevity. But what happens when you're positive compared to what happens when you're negative about your outlook on life and just having a better overall, even if you're feeling down, you can still try to find the light in the tunnel as opposed to the the darkness.
And you, well, I work a lot with thoughts because I think the quality of your thoughts is so much of it. You know, first
All of it.
It drives everything
for me,
what we
yeah.
do or don't do, really, what we were
yeah,
talking
exactly.
about.
I mean, you make a choice, and then it's out of that choice that you start becoming aware of the kinds of thoughts that you're having. And when you're having thoughts that aren't serving you well, having that awareness, that consciousness to shift it.
Exactly.
It's not that you are pretending the challenging things or the unhappy things don't exist. You're just looking at it from a different perspective.
Exactly.
That's it.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
we
it, big
can't
time.
control the thoughts that come into our head, but we can control those what we dwell on. And like you say, that's where the free will comes in is, whatever you put energy on expands. And if you're going to sort of keep putting energy on the negative thoughts, it's going to take you down that spiral.
Right.
But if but they're there, we can't fight them. They're there, they exist. But if we, as you say, shift perspective and focus on the good things, and there's always that, it's the flip
that's
side
what
of
I
the
was gonna
coin.
say.
Even
There's
with
always look for the light, even
Yeah.
when somebody's being just a total jerk, there's something going on with them, and you got to think about it from that perspective and just kind of keep your cool and not go down their road. I
Exactly.
just it's always the best course. And I love that you have that video because you actually have science to back it up. It's
Yeah.
a little 5-minute video or something with
It's
science.
like neuroplasticity. We used to think that things were sort of locked in, and now we're learning that the brain is just constantly changing and evolving, and we can do wonderful things through meditation, mindfulness, like you say, all of those things. So one other thing you mentioned when you were doing your 8 good things, you talked about the Sojourn journey, and I'd love you to just expand on that a bit and share what that is with our audience.
So the Sojourn journeys, those are curated experiences that fall into the once in a lifetime realm.
Yeah, category.
The
yeah.
bucket list.
Yeah.
I like to say hit list. I think that's more positive.
Yeah.
Bucket list kind of sounds
Yeah,
like
really.
you're
You're
sort
gonna
of
throw up.
or life
you're
is
old.
coming to an end.
Exactly.
So you gotta,
As they say, kick the bucket.
Yeah,
but no,
exactly.
this is, the hit
Yeah.
list. Great.
Yeah, so it's doing journeys like going up Kilimanjaro or going along the Great Wall or going along the Camino de Santiago, where they are. The journeys are cathartic. I mean, they challenge you physically, therefore mentally, and I try to tailor the trips to whatever that person needs.
Now, they join a group? Is that right? Do you put a group together, or
Well,
is this a
I
solo?
can, and I have like I have a group going to the Holy Land that's like 32 people that I'm taking. However, a lot of my trips have been solo.
Wow.
They have.
Yeah, they've
Solo.
been one
Just
per
you and
yeah,
another
yeah.
person.
I'm taking at the end of October. I'm taking a guest to Tanzania who wants to see the big cats.
Oh, beautiful.
And that kind of journey where you're taking somebody to we were talking about this in the green room, when I take somebody to Africa for the first time and they go into the bush and they're seeing their first elephant, they're seeing their first giraffe, they're seeing their first lion, it is so magical.
Yeah.
And I get the vicarious joy of bringing that experience to that person and then getting to share it with them.
Well, it renews it in you. It's wonderful to
Yeah.
share that.
And you go on every single one of the
Yes.
journeys
Yes.
you do,
Yeah.
whether it's
Yes.
group or
Yeah.
So you organize it and get together the group or the person who comes to you or wants to do it, and then you go off
I
and
love-
do it. That's lovely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and part of that is that it's more than just being a guide. It's we do some deep work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You describe it as the hero's journey, which I
Yeah.
love.
Yeah, I mean, you really look into identifying, what are your values? Are they in alignment with your goals? If somebody wants to get into or go to the next level with meditation, we get into that. It depends on what that person needs.
Yeah. Sounds very, I mean, it's tailor-made for them.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
And it's great that you have
Yeah.
all the skill sets to be
Yeah.
able to help them through all of that.
Yeah.
And
you
it
know?
sounds all encompassing, like you say. I mean, it's the physical journey, the the mental and emotional. I'm sure there's a lot of emotions going on.
So
and
we-
the spiritual.
We kind of jumped ahead to that based on the phone call a little bit, but once you started producing and you kind of got into that washing machine, of that cycle, you started traveling with producing. Let's talk about some of the shows that you produced and your Emmy that you won,
Yes.
and then how that transferred you to where to what you do today.
Yeah, so but before the Emmy, I was doing a fair amount of traveling. I was working on animal shows, and that's what initially brought me to Africa. I actually worked on this one animal show that took me all the way around the world except for the piece between Fiji and coming back to Los Angeles. And I was gone for 4 months.
Yeah.
It was great.
When you say animal, do you mean like wildlife show?
Yeah,
or?
yeah.
Like Animal
Yes.
Kingdom or
Yeah.
Animal
Yeah,
Planet.
right,
Yeah,
right,
okay.
right,
Yeah,
right.
fun.
Yeah, so that
my
was
God.
fun.
The experience that you must have had seeing, the nature from all perspectives all over the world in all conditions has got to be almost overwhelming.
What I love about travel is that it keeps you curious. and it teaches you to be open,
Absolutely.
not to judge a book by its cover, you know. And I love going to places that transport me truly to another world. I mean, for example, going to Australia is great. It's fun. I mean, but I feel there's a lot of California.
Yeah, I was
there
going to say it's
as
like
well.
being here.
Yeah.
Right. But then you go to a place like Morocco, and the smells and the sounds and the way
Foods
people
and the-
dress,
yeah.
the foods. It's so different, and I love that you know, just being transported and then just dropped into and just immersing yourself into it.
I know when I'm in those situations, I have that endorphin high, you know, that it's the same thing as when, you know, I'm exercising and I get that endorphin rush. It's really a happy thing when I feel so immersed in a different culture and lucky to be there and be part of it. It's just and I know it's not for everybody, but wow, I think it's so wonderful.
And
that
I
when you
think
can do
for
that.
me too, it's like it's so it's like sort of, you know, so polar opposite in some ways, because at one time you're experiencing something so new, but then you also get to see how we're all so similar underneath it all.
Well, and you learn how little you really need.
Yeah, absolutely. When you're traveling out
Humbles
to
you.
a
It humbles
backpack.
you, especially us here in LA entertainment.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you deal mostly with people in the entertainment industry who need to just set aside and turn around and walk away, you know,
and see
do
that
this.
all the material things we have is not what gives you happiness. I mean, you come across cultures that have hardly anything, and they're so
happy.
incredibly happy and loving.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely need more of that.
Yeah, I agree. I remember the first time that really struck me. I was actually in Hong Kong, and we crossed over into the mainland, and we went into a village. And I remember being with a group of people, and they kept saying, "Oh, these poor people, how sad." And I'm looking at the faces. I'm going, these people look pretty happy to me. I don't know. And then it
all
occurred
relative.
to me that they were judging
By their
based
standards.
on they didn't have
they
the
had.
same big house. They didn't have a car. They didn't have whatever they had, you know, at their homes in the United States. And it's just like, we can't do that.
Yeah, I know. I think I shared with you. I fostered a little boy from Honduras for a while, and people were like, "How can you give him back? He's been exposed to all this amazing things here in America, and you're going to send him back to poverty." And I was like, "Oh my God, you've got it so wrong." I mean, love is love is love. I mean, it doesn't matter what material things you have. If he is happy with his family and his friends and everything, of course he should go back.
Yeah.
So
People that don't have the experiences that you create would think that, I would imagine. You know,
yeah, they
because
think that this is the
it's all they
answer to
know.
everything, and we're probably, on average. I mean, what would you say? You've studied happiness. I mean, we're not the happiest, country in the world by far.
No, we're so stressed.
We're quite down the
Yeah.
list.
Exactly.
We're quite down the list.
And we have all the material things that we're told will make us happy. So definitely not the way it is.
Well, I'm loving the trend that I'm seeing now, and especially with the millennials. I love the millennials.
Yes,
I love them.
I got a couple.
I do too. I've
I
got
love
two of those.
because they are
Yeah.
choosing
Yeah.
experiences over money.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
that I think is so much.
In turn is working for them financially
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it is such a different era than when we were in our 20s and 30s,
Yeah.
and the opportunity for them, because they are choosing to say no to things that would be, a steady gig,
Right.
to help them get going, to maybe buy a house and to settle down and have a family. But they're choosing happiness over
Yeah.
that. They're choosing the environment they want over the stress of what they don't want.
And that is the better long-term decision
Absolutely.
by far.
And I don't think we saw that as clearly when we, there weren't the options. We weren't a technology society at the time, a world. And so, I don't think we felt those options as strong. But you kind of cut through those barriers and said, I can be, you saw the four walls and said, I can do this. I can be happy. I can change this.
Yeah.
And you did.
Yeah, I say I have humble, luxurious life.
I love that.
Yeah.
And your company also supports the planet. You give a percentage to. So talk about that a little bit.
So 1% for the planet, the big driver behind that organization, it's 1% for the planet it actually represents many nonprofits that,
Such as, just name a couple that you.
They represent the anti-poaching, the International Anti-Poaching Foundation, which goes after rhinos. That are
you
being
did a
poached.
documentary on that.
Yeah, exactly. I actually brought them into the organization because as a nonprofit, you just can't join. You have to be sponsored in. And I wanted to be part of 1% of the planet, which was really energized from Patagonia. And so I liked the ethos of what they were doing. So I still wanted to represent the nonprofits that I cared about. So I brought in the International Anti-Poaching Foundation. They're actually working out of Zimbabwe. Wow. And I really admire the person who started this organization. He is from Australia. He was an Australian version of a special operator, a spec op. And after he got out of the military, he did a lot of contracting work, as a lot of those guys do, and he ended up by going to Africa, and he saw how horrific the poaching situation was, that he went back to Australia, sold all or most of his assets, brought his bride, and moved to Africa and began this nonprofit about 8 years ago. And they actually have a system of training rangers and paramilitary techniques to deal with the poachers.
Wow.
And they've really made a huge difference in the greater Kruger area. Yeah.
I was going to ask you that over all the years that you've been traveling, have you seen? Was there a peak of poaching and devastation to forestries and things like that, or jungles? Is it still going up, or are you seeing a decline? Do you feel that the environmental agencies are having an impact?
Yeah, making a difference.
It's tough. I mean, certain areas are doing better. But it's still a global issue. Yeah, it really is pretty horrific.
And you highlight that you do. You have a production company, and that actually goes after doing some documentaries and.
Yeah, I did a show. It was called Battleground Rhino Wars, and it was taking 3 former Navy SEALs and a Green Beret. And we were in the greater Kruger area in South Africa. And they were going to work with the different people who owned ranches and things like that to work with their rangers when poachers would come in. So they weren't actually in the Kruger, but they were on the perimeter. Yeah. So it's
wow,
a big
thing, but you're doing what you can and making even a little difference is a difference, you know, so that's pretty remarkable.
Well, and supporting people who are doing, really good things.
Yes.
I mean, I admired, the person, his name is Damian Mander, that founded the International Anti-Poaching Foundation, because this is a guy who saw an issue, felt a real calling, and put his money where his mouth is.
Yeah,
not everybody does it.
Yeah.
No,
that's
I know.
Big.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
Very big.
Yeah.
So I know we're jumping around
I know,
here a
I
little
know
bit.
we are, but we're also going to lose some time. And you have so much about you and so much that's going on.
So I
much
just
that
wanted
you
to
do.
mention, we touched on it, but you didn't say, but you worked on Survivor for many years. And is that where you got your Grammy?
Yes.
No, not Grammy.
Sorry,
I know
Emmy.
unless you did the music for them.
I was just going to say, where did Grammy come from? That came from the green room earlier. We were talking about Grammy award-winning people. So yes, you're Emmy.
Yes, it came from doing the first 2 seasons of Survivor.
So the very first 2. So you were the
Yeah.
original. Gosh, that was what's her name? Elizabeth Hasselhoff or something. Yeah,
Oh,
she
dear.
became. She
Hope
was
she's
on
not
The View
listening.
for years.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
And
Right.
Wonderful.
Yeah, that was the season. I mean, because Mark Burnett is a friend of ours, and so at the time when the show, everybody's fingers were crossed that the show was going to take off, and wow, it was just, people were mesmerized.
Yeah.
They couldn't get enough of the show the first couple of seasons. It was so huge. And to this day, it's still
I know, it's
going
amazing.
on.
They're in 30-something.
It's like been
It's
what, like 18 years, 17 years?
We started in 2000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 18 years.
Yeah.
Well,
Wow.
talking about Mark Burnett, we're going to segue into Roma Downey Jr. because I mean Roma Downey. Did I say Jr.?
Yeah.
Sorry. Oh my goodness, I'm giving up today. But Roma, I know that you work with Roma too, on the light workers. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
What work
She
you
really
do together.
is an angel.
I know,
I love her.
she
I
is.
have to say, both Mark and Roma, they are such dear, dear people.
Yes,
they
we agree.
really are special.
Yeah.
Roma has a relatively new platform,
Mm-hmm.
and it's called Lightworkers, and it's all inspirational content. It's articles, it's videos, and they're also beginning to get into original content.
Mm-hmm.
And so I write.
Beautiful.
Right.
Oh,
I
you
write.
write.
Yeah,
Ah.
I write for her.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, wonderful.
yeah.
Now-
In your spare time, because
Yes.
you're just not busy enough.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
my
they're really
goodness.
fun articles.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I wrote one article about what the Maasai warriors can teach us
I-
about
oh,
happiness.
happiness.
I thought that's on your website.
I love
saw
that. Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
realize that was for that. I
Yeah.
love that
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
about how high they jump and
Yeah.
they're basically doing it to get the prettiest girl in the village. I love that.
Whatever works.
Exactly. Some things
know,
never change.
That's across cultures,
Yeah,
whatever
exactly.
you have to do to show
Exactly.
off to get the
Yeah.
girl,
Yeah.
get what you want. That's
Yeah.
pretty funny.
Yeah.
And you also write on the Huffington Post.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you are.
Thrive Global. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
written some articles for them.
That's-
So between writing, producing, and you
You're-
have a PhD in consciousness-centered living.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is that? Tell us
Yeah.
what.
Well, it's actually a fancy way of saying that I'm into the art and science of happiness.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I came into my work really from the more spiritual side of things, and was very happy, no pun intended, when I started to see the science that was backing up the things that I was discovering for myself.
Yeah.
You know?
I think there's something on Time magazine that this quarter on happiness.
Probably.
It's all these
Yeah,
scientific
joy and
studies.
happiness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I read a lot about it,
Yeah.
and definitely work with clients on it because it's the center to everything else.
Yeah.
Turning out to balance them, because if they're depressed,
Yeah.
nothing else is going to be,
your mindset.
yeah, exactly.
But I was just going
Everything
to say,
else
but it's
goes-
all generated from within. While we're still buying into this, that something out there is going to make us happy, we're just going to be. Exactly.
Right. Well, that's external, and
Yeah,
that's what-
exactly.
yeah.
It's an internal job. It's not an external.
Yeah,
It's
and you get
inside out, not outside in.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And once you understand that, your world really shifts.
Shifts.
When
Absolutely.
you understand that, one, it's a choice, and two, that it's an inside job, you really start making different choices.
Yeah,
and you're not always craving like the next Gucci bag.
Well, it's
or
what is it? The
Tesla.
silver ball
Yeah.
thing they say.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
I'll be happy when. And again, it brings you into
Yeah.
the present moment. It's the I'll be happy when will always keep you in that wanting and not in the appreciation and the gratitude for what we have.
what
at the
we have
moment.
right now. Yeah, and it's really hard. I gotta say, Dell has 2 sons. I have 2 daughters, and my daughters are in their late 20s and early 30s. And it's really hard bringing up 2 girls in this city, in Los Angeles, in the entertainment
Yeah.
industry, and trying to get them to realize that it's in here and it's not external. So difficult. Still working on it, actually.
Yeah.
They do find their happiness, like we talked about with their career, but there's still these external things that are, keeping. It's an individual thing to actually tap in and go that
Yeah.
deep and to find it.
Well,
It's very hard.
You're doing a great job
Helping
sharing
people
your
do that,
message.
yeah.
And we are about done with our time. So can you just share your website again and let everybody know how they can contact you, whether it's to go on one of these amazing journeys with you or learn primordial meditation or find your 8
Yeah,
8
and
tips of
to
happiness.
sign up for your newsletter,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
you also have online courses.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that
share-
manifest
yeah.
happiness, like modules that people can go through, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
how can they reach you?
Okay. Well, the best way is to go to my main website, which is Sojourn, SOJOURN -INTL.com, sojourninternational.com. And then that will give you entry
to
into
each
all of the
one.
other areas. You can sign up for
Yeah.
8 good things there. And if you go to Picture Happiness as a gift to anyone who is listening, I have, if they use OWA40 as the promo code, they'll get 40% off of my happiness program.
Fabulous.
Lovely. That's
does,
really
does that go
nice.
for us too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. I want to go there. So again, just give that promo code again.
It's OWA40.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And you
OWA40.
have some upcoming events too. Do you want to share with the audience?
Sure. I'm taking, well, I had mentioned just a little bit before, I'm taking a client to Tanzania to see big cats at the end of October. That's how I'm spending my Halloween. And then just before Christmas, from December 13th through the 23rd, I'm taking a little over 30 people to the
Wow.
Holy Land.
Wow.
So
Good
we'll,
timing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
meet the patriarch and do all kinds of cool things. Go get baptized again, and
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Wonderful.
yeah,
Very cool.
yeah,
Very,
cool.
very
Get
cool.
white robes and just go and get baptized.
That's pretty
Sounds
cool.
Yeah.
very, very
then-
cool.
Well, go ahead.
Oh, and then at the New Year's, I am also doing Jim Brickman. He's Grammy nominated
See,
song.
there's the Grammy
yes,
bit.
songwriter. And he's doing his New Year's bash in Sedona and Phoenix, so I'll be with him. then.
Sedona, one of my favorite places
Beautiful.
on
Yeah.
earth. The
Yeah.
vortexes. I love
Yeah.
Sedona. Yeah.
So final words of wisdom to
Yes.
share with our listeners.
Make the choice.
Yeah.
Just choose.
good one.
Just make the choice and then take action.
Yeah.
yeah.
You
Good.
got to take action.
Good. Good.
Absolutely
I love
wonderful.
that one.
Yeah.
We are
Well,
so blessed to have
yes.
had you on the
Oh,
show. We have a mutual
inspirational.
friend, which is how we met. And thank you, Katie. Shout out to Katie. And we wish you the best of luck with
Yes.
everything you're doing.
Thank
Yes.
you.
We
And
will.
It was a
continue
real joy.
spreading the love
Yeah.
and the joy, which
Yeah.
you clearly do. So
Yes,
thank
big
you.
time. You haven't stopped smiling. I mean, just looking at you and your bright pink makes me happy.
Exactly.
Alone.
Well, thank you. It's been a real honor.
Oh,
It's
lovely.
been a privilege.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
You're
you.
both lovely.
Okay, well, have a wonderful trip with all the people you're going on these journeys with. I wish I was one
Jealous.
of them.
We're going to
next
figure
year.
that out, Del.
Yes,
we're
we're
going to
gonna
talk.
figure it
We're
out.
going to talk. All right, we got to
Okay.
say goodbye. We're going to
Yes.
see everybody next week. Thank you for
Thank
joining
you for
us
joining
today.
us.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.